All right, so during the NFL draft, we got this story. Laremy Tunsil, Bong hit, whatever, Supposedly this guy, right before the draft happened, on his Twitter, he posted a video of him smoking out of a bong in this gas mask or whatever. He is supposedly supposed to be like the number one or the number two pick in the draft, but he actually was picked up by the Miami Dolphins on the 13th pick. But this whole smoking weed or whatever, they don't say it's actually weed, but you know it's weed, or you think it is anyway, just sticks out because Miami Dolphins, notorious for picking up weed smokers here. Ricky Williams, remember he retired because he failed a bunch of weed tests or multiple drug tests, and he said he loved smoking weed or whatever, and he retired early, all basically because he wanted to smoke weed. That's what they made it seem like. Ricky Williams and gematria equals 65, just like Miami, Florida, where the Dolphins are from. Also interesting, Ricky Williams retires on August 2nd, 8-2. Laremy Tunsil, look when he was born, 8-2. So Ricky Williams retires on his 10th birthday. This guy also lost the number one pick to Jared Thomas Goff or whatever. His name of gematria equals 67. Laremy Tunsil is going to wear 67 for the Miami Dolphins. So he was drafted 13th. Look when he posted this video on Twitter. 13 minutes before the draft. 7:47. 13 minutes before the draft. He ended up being drafted the 13th pick. Also, just look at his name. King Tunsil. I've talked, I don't know how many times about King Charles or Prince Charles becoming King Charles and Queen Elizabeth. Just also have royalty themes. Cleveland Cavaliers even equals 78. King Tunsil and gematria equals 136. I've also been mentioning this 165, which 136, June 13th is 13/6 in Europe, but it's also the 165th day of the year. I've just been mentioning it over and over. YouTube gave my video a copyright strike about 22 Jump Street. If you write out the word 22, I spelled it wrong, but you still get the gist of it. 22 equals 165. They gave me a copyright strike 165 days after my birthday. It was about 22 Jump Street. 22 Jump Street came out on June 13th, which this year is the 165th day of the year. Somehow I put up the video I made about it 165 days after the movie came out. So just interesting. His name equals 136. King Tunsil 78 equals 1994. Just interesting. It's like a lot like the year that he was born. 22 years ago. Or it will be 22 years ago, I guess. August 2nd. August 2nd, also interesting because of the fact that the Declaration of Independence was supposedly not signed completely until August 2nd. So we're all told July 4th. And July 4th is our nation's independence and whatnot. But supposedly August 2nd was the day that it was completely or fully signed or whatever. So he's born on 8/2, August 2nd. Also, it says that he was drafted at 9:43 p.m. Remember, so 7:47 when he posted the video to 9:43, a span of 1 hour 56 minutes. If you write out the word 33, it equals 156. It also says that he missed being drafted by the Baltimore Ravens at number 6 and Michigan State, or Tennessee at number 8. And then he was supposed to go number 1. So it would have been like 1, 6, and 8. A lot like Queen Elizabeth II, a lot like Cleveland Cavaliers, a lot like Prince Charles dies. I've just mentioned a whole lot of this 168. But also, the date numerology of the day that he got drafted, 4/28/2016 equals 68. So he missed the 6th and the 8th pick. That's what it says here in the article. 68. Also, date numerology of 48. 4/28 plus 16. Remember, Pope Francis equals 68. Prince Charles equals 68. Barack Obama equals 68. Donald John Trump equals 68. Lots of 68. Also interesting, the date numerology of 48. And he was on this team here last year in the 2016 Sugar Bowl. He played for Ole Miss Rebels, who scored 48 points. And the game even had a total of 68 points. So, a lot like the day that he was drafted. Interesting, they beat the 13th ranked team. He was drafted 13th after posting a video 13 minutes before the NFL draft. Sugar Bowl. Sugar Bowl equals 118. And 118 days after the Sugar Bowl, that's when he got drafted. So Sugar Bowl 118, he got drafted 118 days after the Sugar Bowl. I feel like somehow the number 13 is a tribute to Dan Marino. Dan Marino was number 13 for the Miami Dolphins. It's also connected to Prince. The Dolphins drafted him at 9:43 p.m. It just sticks out a lot because Prince was found in the elevator at 9:43. Also, even we have the death of Tupac's mother. Just interesting, I guess. It's not 9:43, but 9:34. The mirror of 43. Also, the last time the Dolphins made the Super Bowl was Super Bowl 19. And in the the Simpsons episode where Prince dies, Treehouse of Horror X1X, which is also 19. So Prince dies in Treehouse of Horror 19. The Dolphins made the Super Bowl 19. 19 equals 41, 41, the 13th prime number. The reason I even bring back up The Simpsons is that Dan Marino was on episode 215 of The Simpsons. 215 is the day that Vanity died. Vanity was connected to Prince's death. Just see my previous videos. I've talked a lot about this. 2016, interestingly enough, will also be the Miami Dolphins' 51st season, going into Super Bowl 51. It's also the 47th season in the NFL. So, who knows? Not sure the complete significance, but there's a lot of interesting connections to this guy, just because he's smoking weed and whatnot. A lot of 13 connections. I just want to point out really quick, Miami Dolphins are just super coded. I've showed it before. I showed it with the Nebraska Cornhuskers, how they have Indomitius Sue or Donkey Kong Sue now. And I've talked about a lot of the Nebraska Cornhuskers in regards to the movie Teen Wolf, how it has Nebraska Cornhusker stuff in the background. They play in Lincoln, Nebraska, Abraham Lincoln. There's lots of, and also the Sea of Red is where Nebraska Cornhuskers play. It ties into Moses. Moses and Abraham Lincoln both freed the slaves. There's a whole lot to this. I've talked about it previously, but just want to point out, Richie Incognito, former Miami Dolphins player. He also was from Nebraska. He got in trouble for bullying Jonathan Martin. So check it out here. There's more to it than this too, but Richie Incognito and Gematria, 158. Jonathan Martin, 158. The real reason that it was all about was that the Dolphins signed Bryant McKinney to take over at left tackle. They moved Martin over to right tackle. That was the whole point of a lot of it. Bryant McKinney, also born on September 23rd, the day that Pope Francis went to the White House at 9/23 on 9/23. He came to America on his 923rd day as Pope. The Philadelphia train wreck last year happened at 9:23 p.m. LeBron James equals 923. LeBron equals 66. 66 days after the Philadelphia train wreck last year, the movie Trainwreck came out. LeBron James, one of the stars of the movie Trainwreck. Trainwreck equals 122. Pope Francis equals 122. So super interesting. This guy's involved in that bullying scandal. I apologize. So Richie Incognito equals 158. Jonathan Martin equals 158. A big reason was because this guy came to the team, Bryant McKinney. Check out Bryant McKinney in Gematria. What do you think he adds to? Oh, 158. What are the odds of that? Interesting too, 158 equals 223. A lot like the Synagogue of Satan. A lot like Masonic. A lot like Friday the 13th. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. I spelled it wrong, but whatever. Masonic 223. I mean, it's just ridiculous. All this stuff completely pre-planned and whatnot. I guarantee there's a reason he was drafted 13th. And also, this picture was posted 13 minutes before the draft. I mean, I guarantee it's not a coincidence. Whatever, you know. We'll see what happens. I don't think the Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl this year, for sure. But, I mean, just interesting. They have the connection to the 51. In one of the previous videos, I also mentioned how Miami has some crazy connection because Pope Francis, when he came to the United States, he began his trip. He went to the Cuba on 9/19, the 262nd day of the year. Then Obama randomly goes to Cuba 26 weeks, 2 days later. He's the first active president to do so in 88 years. The last president to do so is John Calvin Coolidge, who also equals 88. So he does it 88 years after this guy, who adds up to 88, does it. In Miami, an obvious connection to Cuba. A lot of Cubans end up in Miami. You know, they migrate to Miami before maybe moving around or whatever. So just interesting. There's some Cuba things going on. I thought it was a lot to do with the Cold War, but Miami seems to keep popping up, even the Miami Heat and whatnot. So just interesting. Felt like putting it out, making a quick video. Have a good one.